Okay, here's the area we're treating today. This is a test area that we did yesterday to see how this specific piece of concrete is going to receive PoreShield. So I applied pretty liberally with the paintbrush here yesterday, about 130, and I applied over the paint so I can see how the solvent properties will affect the paint that is used on this particular concrete. It's now 10:30 the next day, and you can see that it looks wet, but it doesn't track material. There's no effect on friction, and it's not going to affect your use of this concrete going forward. And we'd recommend a backpack sprayer. Battery-powered backpack sprayers tend to work a little better than pump sprayers just because the pressure stays consistent through your application. Then you'll use a fan tip on the sprayer. The lower the gallons per minute on the fan tip is typically better just because it gives you more control. And since we're applying at 250 square feet per gallon range, depending on the concrete, you don't need to put a lot of material down very quickly. Having that control is a little more important than speed most of the time. So it's really simple. Once you've got dry concrete that's broomed or cleaned off, you just want to go ahead and get your fan of spray. And then you want to make a light pass and stay just shy of pooling. So holding the nozzle up to get started, and then if you start to have it be a little thin, you can move down to apply a little more. But this is about the rate you're looking for. You don't want it to pool. You just want it to get a nice little coating on the surface that's going to soak into the pores. When you do get to a cracked area, you can apply a little more liberally. You can even fill that crack if you want, and it's going to soak into that cracked area and provide extra protection around the spot that's going to be more vulnerable to water, salt, what have you going forward. So you just want to continue and cover the whole area. Good practice would be to have a roller brush on hand, paintbrush, something like that, so when you do get a little too much in an area, you can just back roll it into the areas that are a little more lightly applied. Kind of keep it consistent. It's not really going to influence the performance of the product, but it'll make sure that if you do have an area where you've got a little more material and a little less material, you can kind of even that out so it absorbs on a more consistent basis. Then you just continue. You can lightly overlap your spray, but really you just want to keep going and try to be consistent across the whole concrete. So our first pass here through the middle is the application rate you're shooting for, just shy of pooling. The second area I applied to is a little bit heavy. You can see sort of that pooling in some yellow color. One tip is with polarized sunglasses, you can tend to see the pooling faster than you can without polarized sunglasses. But even if you do get a little bit of extra material there, it's not going to affect the performance of the product. Just means it's going to take a little bit longer to absorb. So if you're trying to get this open to traffic immediately, you may want to back roll that to areas that have less material. That wet look will continue to fade depending on the type of concrete you're treating and the environmental conditions around you and things like that. That fading of that wet look could be blotchy or it could be consistent, and it could last anywhere from 1 to 2 days up to 2 weeks. But ultimately at the end of the day, once it's fully absorbed and settled into the pores, it'll look just the same as the untreated concrete over there.